Hi everyone, welcome to Dataverse Academy. So in today's video, we are going to learn how we can transform and load the data using Pyspark in Lakehouse. So let's get started. Log into your Microsoft Fabric account. Then go to the below left hand corner. Then click on Microsoft Fabric. Then click on Data Engineering. Then click on Workspaces. Then go to your workspace. Then go to your Lakehouse. If you are not familiar with how you are going to create a workspace and how then you are going to create a lake house, please watch my other videos. I'll put the link in the description. As you can see, we have two folders in our lake house. One is tables and another one is files. Tables is basically for delta tables and file will store all the file data. Either it can be CSV, Excel, Parquet or any other format. So you can see I have this folder. It contains these three folders and inside this we have some data. So if you are not familiar with how you are going to load the data into the lakehouse, please watch my other videos where I have provided the explanation how you can load the data through Data Lake Gen 2 or either data pipe. I'll put the video link in the description below. So here we have worldwide importers data, which I have loaded from Azure Blob Storage sample data directory, which is provided by the Microsoft. If you want to load the data from that Azure Blob Storage directory, what I'll do, I'll put the connection details in the description below. Or either you can watch my other videos where I have loaded the data from that directory to the lakehouse. In this video, what we are going to do, we will load the data of these particular folders in the delta tables of our lakehouse. So let's get started. So for that, what we need to do, we need to create a notebook. Click on open notebook, then click on new notebook. This is the window of the notebook where you can develop your Spark jobs, either using Pyspark, Scala, .NET, Spark SQL, or R. Or if you want to develop your code in Visual Studio, you can click on it. But right now, I'm going to develop the code in the notebook only. Click on your raw data folder. Then click on full. Then click on your fact sales folder. Here you can see we have multiple Parquet files. One thing we need to note that you don't need to create a Spark session here or you don't need to assign any Spark cluster. These things will be taken by the Microsoft Fabric. So let's read the data from the fact sale folder. df equal to spark dot read dot format. Our format is Parquet. Then load. Then we need to provide the path of that particular folder. Copy relative path. Put it here. Then cf. Then we need to show what data we have. df dot show. I'll check only the first 10 rows. Now click on either run or what you can do, shift enter. Now your Spark session will automatically get started. It will take 2-3 minutes to start it. So let's wait for it. Our session has successfully started and we got the output. So here you can see we have 10 rows from the sales fact table, which contains different foreign keys from dimension tables and some measure values as well. To save our time, what I did, I have already designed the code and I'll put that code in my editor and I'll explain you what I'm doing in that code. So what I'm doing here, first I'm importing some functions. Then I have created a variable to give name to my fact sales delta table. Then I'm reading the data from a fact sale folder. Then I'm creating a year column. Then I'm creating a quarter column. Then I'm creating a month column. And at the end, what I'm doing, I'm writing the data to my delta table. So here you can see what I did. I used the write function, then I put the mode as override. So mode can be of four type. First one is override, then append, then error, then silent. See in override what will happen if the table is already exist, then the data will be cleaned and it will be loaded. And in case of append, data will be appended. And in case of error, suppose if you have already loaded the data and in the next run the same data is loading, then it will be fail. Then we are providing the format as delta. Why? Because we need to store the data into the delta table. Then we are using partition y and we are partitioning our data based on year and quarter. What will happen? It will write the data into the delta table and it will create partition based on year and quarter. Then we are using a save function to save our table at a particular location. This is the folder path and this is the variable name which contains the name of our table. So it will be stored in our table folders. As we have provided this path, then our table will be stored in this particular folder. Let's run it. It will take few minutes to load the data into the delta table. Our Spark job is successfully completed. Let's check the data. Click on refresh. Here you can see our data is loaded into the fact sale table. And these are the columns inside this table. Now let's load other folders into the delta table. So for that, I have already designed the code to save our time and I will explain it line by line. Let me paste it. So in this code, what I'm doing, I'm reading the folders one by one and then writing the data into the delta tables. So for that, what I did, I have created a list and provided the name of all the folders. And then I'm looping through the list and providing the name of all the folders one by one. I hope that's clear. Now let me run this code. Do shift and enter. Our code is successfully completed. Let's check the tables folder. Click on it, then refresh it. Here you can see all our folders has been loaded here. Now let's check the tables data. So for that, what we need to do, we need to write a Pyspark code. Tf equal to spark dot read dot table. So here, what we need to do, we need to provide the lakehouse name dot table name. So let me read the data from my dimension city. Let's run it. It took all the data into the df data frame. Let's check first 10 rows. So here you can see we have city key, ID, city, state, country, and this is all the city information which we have in our dimension city table. Now let me check the data of my fact sales table. I'll pick only 10 rows. So these are the columns which I have in my fact sales table. So now what we are going to do, we will create a query to find out our total profit and total tax per day by state and city. So for that, what we need to do, we need to join our sales fact table with the city and date table, because sales fact table contains profit and tax information, and city table contains the city and state information, and dimension table will contain the date information. To save our time, what I did, I have already designed that query and I'll explain you line by line. So let me paste it. So what I'm doing here, I'm reading the data from my fact sales table, dimension date table, dimension city table in different data frames, and giving the different name to my fact sale data frame, and then joining it with my dimension date data frame based on invoice date key and date, and doing the inner join, and then joining it with my city dimension data frame based on city key and doing the inner join, and then selecting the date column from date data frame, city column from city data frame, and state provinces from city data frame, and then doing the group by based on date, city, and state. Why? Because we need the total profit and total tax per day by state and city. Let me remove total excluding tax and total including tax because we don't need it. We need only profit and tax. Then I'm doing the sum of tax amount and profit because we need the total profit and total tax. And at the last, I'm writing the data into the delta table and giving the name as aggregate sale by date city. So let me run my code. It will take few minutes to run it. As you can see, our job is successfully completed. So let's check our tables folder. Click on it and refresh it. Here you can see our table. Let's check the data of this table. df, df equal to spark dot read dot table, and then our lakehouse name dot table name. I'll choose 5000 root. So for that, write df dot show 5000. Let me run it. So here you can see the data per day by city and state, total tax and total profit. Here you can see we have the data of a different date. Now let me tell you how you can read the data from delta table using Spark SQL. So for that, what you need to do is change the language to Spark SQL. So we have these delta tables and I'll read the data from one of the table. Type select star from data lake name dot table name. Then run it. As you can see, we got the data from dimension city table. Now let me tell you another way to read the data from a delta table using Spark SQL. So suppose your language is selected as Pyspark or Scala or .NET or Java. So what you need to do, type %% SQL, then type your command. Okay. So now I'm reading the data from my dimension city delta table. Now run it. And this is my lake house name. So as you can see, I got the data. Now I'll write a SQL query to get the data for total profit and total tax per day by each employee. To save our time, I have already written that query. Let me paste it and I'll explain you that query. So here you can see we are taking the data from sales table and then we are doing the inner join with our dimension date table based on invoice key and date. And then again we are doing an inner join with our dimension employee table based on salesperson key and employee key. And we are taking date column from date dimension table and employee from employee dimension table, and then we are doing the group by based on date and employee. Why? Because we need the total tax and total profit per day by each employee, so we need to group by with date and employee. Then we are sorting the data based on date and employee in ascending order. Let me run it. So as you can see the data here, we have date, employee name, then total tax and total profit. Okay, so this is the data by per day per employee. Now what I'll do, I'll create a temporary view for this query. Create or replace temporary view as I need to give the name to my view. So this is the name of our temporary view. So temporary view means it will be lie within this session only. If you close this session, you will not able to see this view. So let me run it. Our view is successfully created. To verify it, let me select the data from this view. Select star from view name. As you can see, we got the data. Suppose if you want to save the data of this view into a delta table, what we need to do is we need to write a Pyspark code for that. But our language is Spark SQL. So what you need to do, just type %% Pyspark. Then write your command. Then write your code. df equal to spark dot spark.sql, then write your select query select star from your view name. put it here, then run it. Now all the data is stored in this data frame. Now we will write the Spark code to save the data into a delta table. So for that you need to write %% Pyspark, then enter and write your code. df dot write dot format. Before format we need to provide the mode. I'll use override. Then format will be delta because we are saving the data into the delta table. Then save and provide the path in the delta table name. So we will save it under tables folder and the name will be this. Let me run it. So the data is successfully saved into our delta table. To verify it, click on tables, then refresh it. You can see the table is created here. Okay, that's it in this video. In the next video, what I'll do, I'll read the data from these dimension in fact table and then I'll create a Power BI dashboard. Thank you for watching this video.